Hey everyone, I am so excited to be here today with Layne Dalfen. Now, Layne Dalfen, if you don't know her, she's a Canadian dream analyst. She's a columnist and educator. She writes for Psychology Today. She writes for Oprah magazine. She is an author, and she is one of the most recognized people in the field of dream interpretation. Now, Layne Dalfen is the founder of the Dream Interpretation Center in Montreal, Canada. She has appeared in numerous media outlets. She is actually famous, and she's here today and at the IASD conference to share her insights and her methods of analyzing your own dreams, helping to analyze dreams. And, I just really want to talk to you, Layne, about what are you going to present at the IASD conference? Can you give us a little teaser?
Well, thank you for welcoming me first. It's so nice to speak to you like this. And I look forward to seeing you at the conference. And my presentation is going to be all about the 6 points of entry, which is a method that I developed, taken from Freud, Jung, Adler, and Pearls. Those are mostly the forefathers of psychology that I work around, and I developed a simple 6 point of entry method that I teach that anybody can use to uncover what the heck you were saying to yourself when you had that crazy dream.
And what I like about your method is one of the most important things that I find is that it's not just for psychologists. You've made it very accessible
anybody,
for anybody
very accessible.
because so many people struggle. You wake up, you have a crazy dream, you start go to look online, but that isn't always very helpful. It usually says more about the person writing it down than about you. When you dream of a horse, what does it mean? And you have
Yes.
figured out a way to make it super accessible. Now, can you tell a little bit more about what the grounds is for this method? So it's not when you dream this, it means that, but how do you
No,
approach it?
it's so not that. And that's why I'm so happy that my presentation is happening on the very first morning of the IASD conference. And I'm happy about it because, I've been a member of IASD since 1997. And so this, we use Montague-Ullman's method in sessions at IASD, which means that because we all agree that your dream belongs to you, it belongs to the dreamer, we begin our sentences with, if this was my dream. And so my method, which I'll just tell you what the 6 points of entry are.
Yes, please.
The feelings, the action, the symbols, which are people, places, and things, the repetition, because we repeat ourselves, same way as we learned in school. Read it, write it, recite it. Read it, write it, recite it. That's how we learn. And our dreams repeat ourselves. Not necessarily, I'm not talking about a recurring dream. I'm talking about inside the same dream, we'll say the same thing to ourselves 3, 4, 5 times because your unconscious wants you to get it. And there's play on words and puns and the plot, which is, we also learned in school, the story behind the story. And so whenever I hear a dream, and anybody can do this, once you know those 6 points of entry, when you hear a dream, you will absolutely be attracted to one of those 6 points of entry. And there's no such thing as a bad point of entry. They all work, and they might get you somewhere different. So even at the conference, if you're in a workshop and you're hearing someone else's dream, your projection about under what circumstances in your life would you have that dream, it puts you in a better position to be able to begin the sentence with, if this was my dream, I'd be thinking about this, that, or that, And so that's what knowing the method is not only good for you personally when you're home alone and there isn't a conference going on, But to get back to what I was saying, I'm so happy that I'm presenting at the beginning, especially for people that are new to IASD, because they'll learn the method on the first morning, and for the rest of the conference, and also in your own experience outside the conference, you'll have the method about what questions you might ask yourself to uncover what waking situation happened in your life the day before you had the dream, or you thought about the day before you had the dream, because that's on a very surface level. Because I love Freud and Jung, and I'm very happy to go deep, but I always begin at the surface level. And that's how you get the surface, is to name what is the situation in your waking life this week that you were discussing with yourself when you had that dream. And that's really what I do and why I do it.
I love that because it's also there's a democracy to it. You're not dependent on anyone else to tell you what your dream means. No
Right.
matter what you dream, if you look at, like you said, like either start with the feelings or start with the plot, like whatever feels right, it's sort of
Right.
a self-analysis for the dream, or maybe helping people. I know people who do your method and have read your books, and they just sit at the kitchen table and say, okay,
Exactly.
let's start discussing it. Let's see where we
Exactly.
go. Let's see what was on your mind.
It makes me think of this man who was dreaming that his wife was cheating on him, and the feelings, because it was the feelings that struck me, because that's where I'd be going if I dreamed that Andrew was cheating on me. I'd be going right for the feelings. And so that's how I began my line of questioning with the dreamer, is how did you feel in the dream? And the minute he said betrayed, it put me in a position to be able to ask him, what do you think happened in your life in the last week or so? Some situation that has you feeling betrayed. And he got it immediately. He
Wasn't
said,
about the wife, was it?
no, it wasn't about the wife. You can tell you're a dream worker. No, it was because a client that he had for 25 years, which, by the way, is he's been married for 25 years. So we're very sophisticated. He picked a relationship that had the same amount of years, and it was a client who took his business somewhere else. And so for me, the question after that was, and did you tell the client? Have you asked him why he took his business away? Are you talking about those feelings? Have you discussed it? No, he hadn't. And that's why I love dreams, because if your spouse or your partner was cheating on you, would you be quiet? Would
You
you
would
be
not.
standing there saying nothing? No. So his intelligent, unconscious mind chooses his wife is cheating on him because that's going to help him speak, because it gives him a situation to inspire him to speak. It's like Adler would have said, the dream gives rise to an emotion that helps move you towards the goal. And in this case, of course, the goal was to speak up, which that dreamer did. After he understood his dream, he was motivated to pick up the phone and call the client to discuss what happened and see if he could fix something.
What I love about your story is that you're saying that even though it might seem like a random association, it's about your problem is about your client and you dream about your wife. What's up with that? It's not random at all. It's actually a hint for a solution right in there.
Exactly. And it's so not random because I've been doing this, by the way, for 50 years, 50, and I am still as excited about dream analysis and also about IASD as I was like in 1997 when I joined this organization, because I happen to be an eclectic personality. And I don't just like look at one way of doing things, and neither does IASD. And
That's
that's
true.
why I love the organization, because you get your Freudians, your Jungians, your researchers, your, I mean, artists, archaeologists. You get every kind of person that does all kinds of things at IASD, and they have all these different ways of looking at the same subject. So it's always a learning experience going to a show.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're nailing it. That's what I love as well, because you learn from each other in such unexpected ways. And I'm
Mhm.
excited now more than ever because it's going to be online. So people who might normally not be able to join because of travel or other reasons can now log in, and I get to meet new people that I have never seen at a
Exactly.
conference before. Like, you don't present anymore except for online, which I love. Now, I want
Right.
to pivot a little bit because you mentioned your impressive career, and you have been doing this work for 50 years. It's so amazing. And you're still doing it with more fire than ever. Now, what I want to learn from you is, if there was one thing you could tell people about dreams, what would it be in your experience?
Um, well, I guess what I would say, I'm going to finish that thought about how I always start at the surface.
Yeah.
And the reason I always start at the surface is because if you would say to me, there's gold under the earth here, I would say, wow, let's start digging. But how would we know where to start digging? And the surface reason why you had a dream, something in your life that happened this week that's bothering you and that triggered this dream, once you know why you had that dream, like with the example I gave you a minute ago about betrayal and not speaking up about betrayal, once we know where that dreamer's lean is, he leans towards not speaking up. And that's the place where we could start digging for gold. And so the reason I really do this work is because once you start digging deeper, that's where you're going to find out where who you are originated. And once you know where something originates, like not speaking up in your family of origin, where did you get that from? You can reach back using Freud's free association. You can reach back into the past. And now that you're an adult, you can choose a situation. And I teach how to do that, by the way. And once you name a situation that happened when you were a child that gets you in touch with where this started, now you're not a child anymore. You're looking at the situation as an adult, which affords you to be able to be the adult and make a decision. Wow, is that something I would have done with my child? Would I treat my child the way I was treated? Like not to speak up, for example, like this dreamer that we're talking about who's feeling betrayed and not speaking up about it. So he goes back. And if you go back into your past and you understand why you became over exercised in a certain aspect of your personality, or I call it your knee jerk reaction, once you know about it, something shifts. It's so amazing how once you know something, there is a shift and you can begin exercising a new part of yourself. You can make a conscious decision like this man did. And this was his first time, I call it in the gym, exercising his voice. When he called that client to say, why did you take your business away? That's his first time using that muscle of his voice and expressing himself. And so we are powerless over changing any person. We are powerless. We cannot change anybody, but we are all powerful about changing ourself. And so the work that I do really, in the end, is about taking back all these different parts of yourself that you were born with, and somehow along the way, when you were little, you learned that to be one way is more acceptable than to be another way. And I'll just finish that piece by saying that at 73, I say this with confidence, life throws us a torrent of situations, from happiness to sadness, to cancer, to divorce, to blended families, to success, our successes. There's so many things that happen to us in life. You don't want to be stuck with your same boring knee-jerk reaction that you've been doing your whole life, because in my life, there's no right, no wrong, no good, no bad. My question when I wake up from a dream is, even 50 years later, it's the same question. Am I responding appropriately to the current situation in my life? Not am I responding with my knee-jerk over-exercise part, but am I responding to in the most appropriate way that I can? Because I promise anybody who's listening here, if you are not responding appropriately, the correct and better response, it's in your dream every single time. And it
That
could
moves
be
me.
that somebody that you used to know 15 years ago suddenly appears in your dream. And just what you said before, Nicolene, it's not random that somebody that you associate with in a certain way appears in your dream this week. They might be the solution. You might have to lean in, like Robbie Bosnack would say. You want to lean in to that aspect of your personality that might be under-exercised.
That
I know,
is
I talk a lot.
amazing. No, I love it. I love it. Here's the thing, though. I was thinking while you were talking is that you give us 5 entry points to start exploring our own dreams, but then
Yes,
also you're telling me that that dream itself is a wonderful entry point to explore yourself. And that
yes,
is your end goal, as if I understand you correctly. And
yes.
that's where the
100%.
transformation begins.
Yes,
And I mean, that's why I know that's why a lot of us do this work, but I love hearing you speak about it because it's so engaging. Now, I have one more question for you, and
okay.
that's because your career has not just been really impressive in helping people exploring themselves through dreams and teaching people how to explore their own dreams, but you've also been a fighter for dream awareness. You've been in the media, you always speak out. We met again on Clubhouse, of an app of all
Right.
places, where
Oh, yeah,
people
that's
were
right.
just talking about things. And then whenever there's a place where people are talking, there you are sharing your knowledge about dreams. Now, that is something completely special because that's creating an awareness and sharing a knowledge beyond just helping an individual.
I'm a driven girl.
Yeah, you are.
I am
Yeah.
driven.
What is a thing that you wish people knew about dreams?
Well, kind of what I just said, that you wake up every single morning with the best therapist that there is. And you wake up with the solutions to the issues that you are facing this week. It's not like, if you want to go deeper, like we were just talking about, and work on life-changing things that you can do with yourself, with your own personality. But even if you're not interested in that, because my husband, for example, I adore that man, but he's not looking for like a big, deep change. He just wants to know why he was flying on a cow last night. And he doesn't want to talk about his early childhood relationship with his mother. And I think that's fine. He
Yeah.
wants to know, why did I have this dream today? And I can help him point to the solution to whatever is going on this week. So you can use your dreams for something that's bothering you today and wake up with a solution. And if you want to go deeper, you can go deeper and look at life-changing solutions, which is kind of what happened to me when I was 21 years old. And that's what started me. That's where I became obsessed with getting this message out to a wider public.
Can you tell a little bit about what happened?
In that, at
At
21.
21, what made you want to
Oh,
spread this awareness to all of us?
okay. Sure. Well, just 2 weeks after I turned 21, I had my first of 4 daughters who was born with Down syndrome.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And I had just turned like 21. I never even heard of Down syndrome, which was great because my pregnancy was very happy and relaxed because I didn't even think or realize that such a thing could happen. And so that was like 51 years ago. And 51 years ago, most people had their Downs children institutionalized. Very few people took their Downs baby home 51 years ago. And so I had a decision to make. And my parents wouldn't advise us because they wanted me to know, if you decide to take Tina home, we accept and we're going to support you. And if you decide to give her up, we're going to accept and support you. So they refused to advise me, but I went to a doctor, my GP, who was my doctor since I was born, and I trusted him. And he said, no, you're going to give Tina up and go home and hurry up and have more children. And so I took his advice at first, and not long after, I became depressed. That makes sense. And I ended in the office of a brilliant New York Freudian psychoanalyst who had just moved to Montreal at the time. And so in my early 20s, I wasn't so well able to articulate my feelings, but I'm a dreamer. And I remember my dreams all the time. And I used to go to the sessions with the shrink, always with a dream. And that was how we always began our sessions. And so when Tina was about 3 months old, and she was born 6 weeks early, so she spent significant time in the hospital before she was placed. But I realized this is not working for me. It's just not working for me. Where is she? Who is she? And so maybe some people could give up their child that way, but after a few months passed by, I couldn't do it. And I started having a series of what I call my freight elevator dreams, where I'm in a huge freight elevator. And you know, when you're moving and you're in one of those elevators, the floor, there's a second floor and it wobbles. And I was always in the dream alone. So when those freight elevator dreams are what Layne looks like when she doesn't feel like she has her ground.
Right.
That's the picture, me in a freight elevator. And so he helped me come to a conclusion, a solution about the freight elevator dreams was to invite people into the elevator. Because if I invite people in the elevator, now the space is not so big anymore because there's people around me. And also the weight on the floor stops the floor from shaking. And so I knew that the solution about Tina and me having given her up, the solution was to bring people in around me. And I chose my parents. And the reason, and I'm saying this for a reason, Nicolene, because I want to illustrate how sophisticated our memory base is and our dreams are, because I knew it was my parents who I needed to, in a metaphor, invite into the elevator. Because when I was a little girl, my father, sometimes on the weekend, on a Sunday, he would take me to work with him to his warehouse. and there was a big freight elevator there.
That's where you got it.
And I was always scared, but my father was with me. And
Yeah.
so it made me feel less afraid. And I invited my parents to come and visit Tina and find out, where is she? And so I never did bring Tina home. She passed away a few years ago, by the way. But she was already like 47.
Wow.
So Tina was a big part of my life, even though I never brought her home. We found a foster mom who is an angel, and that's who brought Tina up. And that woman brought in other Downs children who Tina grew up with sisters in a home for over 40 years with the most wonderful mother. And so that was it. I made a lifetime decision based on a series of dreams that I had. And that was it. And then, that was it for me. I was off to the races because somebody at the university here in Montreal said to me, "Oh, if you like Freud, you would love Frederick Perls." And so I went and enrolled at the Gestalt Counseling and Training Center.
Smart.
And then when I turned 40, I went to the Alfred Adler Institute. So that was where I got my original reason for spreading this wonderful message.
Because you experience it so deeply and in such a moving way. Thank you so much for that story. That really touches me. I
I'm
know.
glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad. It touches a lot of people, and I'm never shy about sharing it. I was actually not long ago approached by Pixar, and I taught them my method. And that was just, it was during COVID. It was 2020. And here we are in 2025. And the movie that I consulted with them on is called Dream Productions. And it's the third in the Inside Out series. And it's streaming on Disney, which is so cool that they got it, the writers.
That's so good. See, that's what I mean. You're a fighter for spreading this awareness and you help put it in the world. And so many kids who see it will grow up with this as a natural thing, as something that they can just do and learn.
Yes. Isn't Pixar wonderful like that? They're just so brilliant. You think the movies are for children, but they're for the adults too. They really are. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if we get to create a world where it's super normal to talk about your dreams and share them with each other?
Yeah.
And give a rich thing. Well, on that note, I am so grateful for your time today, and I'm absolutely looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you.
I mean, yeah, you're right. It's great that it's on the first day. I think it's a workshop, right? So you're going to actually teach us. Now, for anyone who's listening and thinking, okay, I'll just listen to recordings, don't, because workshops are not recorded. We do ultimate privacy in workshops. So every presentation is recorded, but workshops where you get to live work with you and get taught how to do it, then people will give their own examples and will share their own dreams. Nothing's going to be recorded.
Where you get the rich, that's where you get the prize.
Yeah, so be there or miss out.
Part teaching the method, and then we'll open the floor up to dreamers in the room.
Yeah, so you actually get to talk about your own dreams with you. That's amazing. Yep. Well, I mean, I'm going to be there for sure.
I'm glad. Thank you so much. You're so sweet.
Thank you for being here. This was such a pleasure. I hope to see you there.
Okay, you will. Bye-bye.